Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to Live and Learn. Hope you're doing well on this Wednesday evening, Wednesday the 27th, the night before American Thanksgiving. If you can believe it, less than a month until Christmas, less than a month until the World Junior Hockey Championships commences. The team will be announced soon. You'll have the Four Nations face-off team announced next week. We'll get into that more next week. I'm not that excited about the tournament. Well, I don't get excited about much, to be fair. But I'm not that stoked about it. It's kind of a fake tournament. Not every country's in it. So I'll watch it, sure, February. Not much going on. But it's better than the All-Star game. I'll give you that. But I'm not head over heels waiting for the roster to be announced. That's not where I'm at when it comes to this type of project. But we'll cover it and we'll talk about it next week. But today, we have lots to dive into. Later on in the program, we will get into the Turkey games in the National Football League. 3 games tomorrow. We'll talk about the lines. We'll preview the games, give you some injury updates. So that is all forthcoming. We're going to chat about the game of Monday Night Football between the Ravens and the Chargers. Very fun game. I want to get into what it means for both teams and just kind of where it goes from here in the AFC. And just the way that Baltimore beat the Chargers was interesting to me. Going to talk some youngsters on this program as well in the NHL. Some young players that are playing well and some not so well. So lots to come. Well, let's kick it off with quick hits. Big news last night. I go to bed, fall asleep, always the goal. And I wake up to see that the Los Angeles Dodgers have made a splash. Fresh off winning the World Series, reportedly in the mix for Juan Soto. They're the first to dip their toe in free agency other than the Angels getting Yusei Kikuchi for way too much money. The LA Dodgers signed Blake Snell to a 5-year, $182 million contract. And it's a blockbuster signing. Blake Snell, a 2-time Cy Young winner. Blake Snell, who pitched very well down the stretch this past year, threw a no-hitter towards the end of last season, was in free agency last year, had to wait a long time to get a deal, had to settle for a contract he didn't like, and now he gets a long-term deal with term. Scott Boras gets some vindication, gets his contract a long-term deal, and gets himself a nice commission. First off, Major League Baseball, how are you letting the Dodgers do this? There are other rich teams in Major League Baseball. The Yankees have a ton of money. The Red Sox have a ton of money. The Blue Jays have a ton of money. Padres like to spend a lot of money. And yet the Dodgers always seem to get the big name players, and they always seem to play well for them. Mookie Betts trade, home run, pun intended. Freddie Freeman, World Series MVP, free agent. Shohei Ohtani wins an MVP in his first season. It goes on and on. But with the Dodgers getting Blake Snell, they, as of now, late November, early in free agency, have a rotation of Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani, because he's going to come back and pitch, and Blake Snell. That is a 4-pack that will not be beaten. that is a 4-pack of pitchers as elite as it gets. The Yankees can't match that. No team can match that pitching staff. Nobody. And then you look at it and go, oh yeah, they also have Ohtani who can play both positions. They still have Freddie Freeman. They still have Mookie Betts. Who knows? Maybe they'll bring back Teoscar Hernandez in free agency because he was so valuable to them. The Dodgers are playing chess, and the rest of Major League Baseball are all playing checkers because they have everybody. Great. Juan Soto might go to the Yankees, might go back. He might go to the Mets and go across the bridge and go there. But the Mets, the Yankees, are they better than the Dodgers even if they get Juan Soto on their team? No. The Dodgers were the FanDuel betting favorite to win the World Series prior to getting Blake Snell. They're an even bigger favorite now. They're loaded top to bottom. And to me, this type of spending and this type of disparity is actually why a salary cap is better for sports. If you're a Dodgers fan, I get it. And bear with me because I think if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan or a Dallas Cowboys or a team that has deep pockets, you'll probably push back and disagree. But it's just the truth. It's a better solution because I'd rather watch teams that are similar in talent. I'd rather watch a league that is close, that has parity. To me, that's a funner product. And again, this is coming from a guy who doesn't root for any teams. But expecting a Cleveland, a Baltimore, it's an awesome story when these low-budget, low-payroll teams make the playoffs. It's fantastic. Great story. People love it. Oh, the small market, they got in. However, they never win. The Indians didn't beat the Cubs in 2016. They lost. Arizona didn't beat Texas 2 years ago. Texas won. The last, really, Kansas City winning in 2015 was the last low-budget team to win a World Series. It's rare. Tampa, all those years, oh, they made the playoffs. They made the World Series, but they didn't win. In baseball, you have to spend or you're not going to have that much success. Period. It's pretty simple. You won't win. So the Dodgers will do more. That's the crazy thing. I don't think they're out at all on Juan Soto. They're going to try to get him. But Major League Baseball, you cannot let the Dodgers get Juan Soto because the league needs a chance. The league needs a chance to have some close games, to not have a 2017 Golden State Warriors feel to it. That was when Kevin Durant signed with the Warriors and they had Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Andre Iguodala. That was the worst NBA season of my life because it was obvious who was going to win the championship before the season tipped off, and it was basically a wrap. That was an uninteresting season. Nothing happened. If the Dodgers keep accruing players, that will become baseball. Because you're not going to have enough. Because the teams around you are better. The teams around you have more talent. I credit the Dodgers because you can spend as much money as you want. However, I also look at it and go, God, I wish he went somewhere else. Because he's a great pitcher, and the Dodgers just keep getting better. And if you look at the best players in baseball, and you just go down the line, you have many Dodgers before you get to a next best player in a team. Sure, you can say, oh, Aaron Judge is better than any other player not named Ohtani on the Dodgers. Is he? I'm taking Mookie Betts over Aaron Judge every day of the week. Every day of the week. Because Mookie Betts shows up for 162, but then he shows up for the games after that as well. He doesn't stop playing baseball after 162. Aaron Judge, that's his career so far. Multiple MVPs, rock star, get to the postseason, and he's a moot point. So credit to the Dodgers. You still in free agency. There's some names. Obviously, Juan Soto is the big name. He's still mulling over his options. Multiple pitches from teams. Max Fried, good pitcher, formerly of the Braves. Corbin Burns, also a Cy Young winner, was with Baltimore last year, won his Cy Young with Milwaukee. Let's see. Walker Buehler, who likely will leave the Dodgers, with them getting Blake Snell, a replacement, multiple Tommy John surgeries, a question mark if you're going to sign him, but he can be great. Let's see. Sean Manaea, good pitcher. Nathan Eovaldi, World Series champion. Obviously, Juan Soto, the polar bear. Pete Alonso is out there, another Scott Boras client. Jack Flaherty, who won a World Series with the Dodgers and pitched well in the postseason for them. He'll likely get overpaid for that performance. So there's some players, but Soto, Snell, Alonso, that's really the cream of the crop. And I've said this, I believe Juan Soto will remain with the Yankees. And I believe Pete Alonso he's either going to the Mets or the Yankees to me. Because the Yankees need a first baseman. They let Anthony Rizzo walk. He's a little long in the tooth. Not giving you the production he once did like he did in 2016 when the Cubs won the World Series. So Pete Alonso would make sense in the Bronx. If he switched from Mets to Yankees, don't have to really move as well. Stay where you are. Get on the subway. Head down to the Bronx, play some games, head home. But I read an article this morning. They're saying next 10 to 14 days, so midway point of December, we'll likely know where Juan Soto is going to be playing next year. Red Sox, Blue Jays, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets. Basically the teams talking to Juan Soto, giving presentations, and I think it'll be $600 to $650 million for Juan Soto, which he's a great player, World Series champion, 2 World Series appearances by the age of 26. He's a stud. But Ohtani, he's a draw as a player, but he's a draw. People will show up to I went a trip to Boston earlier so I could see Shohei Ohtani pitch. And I'm glad I did. Great trip with my dad. But that's something I'll have. I said I saw Shohei Ohtani pitch at Fenway Park. And he went 7 1/3 innings with 12 strikeouts, and he went 2 for 4 batting. What a day. But he's got people that don't watch baseball that go, oh, Shohei Ohtani's playing? Okay, I'll watch. You have all of Japan who are interested in watching him. All over Asia, they want to watch Shohei Ohtani play baseball. He's a draw in more ways than one. He brings you so many eyeballs, so much money. Juan Soto is a great player, but he doesn't bring you anything when it comes to a draw. I don't think people are going to a stadium going, yeah, I really want to see Juan Soto play. I don't think so. He's a great at-bat, probably the best at-bat in baseball. Can take a pitch as good as anybody going right now. But I don't think he's a draw. Aaron Judge is a draw. Shohei Ohtani is a draw. Baseball probably only has 2 draws currently. That's a problem with the league. But I wouldn't want to pay him $650 million from the Yankees. If I'm anybody, it's too much. That return on investment, I don't think it's coming. And yes, he's young. He's only 26. But if the Yankees sign it, what we see from the Yankees is they give out money to one person, and then they've put the rest of the team around him, and it's just kind of, it's like old desk chairs, and it's old, you found something in the attic, and you put it around the house because you want to put something up so it doesn't look like a serial killer's home, but you got something on the wall. Yes, they made the World Series this year, but to me that was more about the American League and less about the Yankees. Carlos Rodon, all these different pitchers. There's 2 ways to look at it. You go, oh, we made the World Series. We're really close. Or we made the World Series and we weren't even close to winning. We got smoked by the Dodgers. Same league, 2 very different teams. I see in the comments, hi, Danny says hi from Santa Monica, California. Hello. I bet Santa Monica has better weather than us here in New Brunswick, which wouldn't be hard to beat the last month. And you have snow coming this weekend, which, but I digress. But some baseball news in late November. Gotta love it. Other quick hits today. Former New York Giants quarterback, 6th overall pick, Daniel Jones, was released last Friday, became an outright free agent on Monday, and made his decision. He signed to the Minnesota Vikings practice squad today. This gives him the flexibility to be with the team, to practice. But if there's an injury to a quarterback over the next couple of weeks, a team could sign Daniel Jones to their active roster. So it does give him some flexibility while also learning under Kevin O'Connell, a very good quarterbacks coach who's turned Sam Darnold's career around in a major way. So I think this is a smart signing by Daniel Jones. I'm glad he didn't go to a bad team that could have used a quarterback over the last 6-7 weeks. It was his smartest play. I like Baltimore. I like Minnesota. 2 teams that are going to be in the playoffs. 2 teams you can sit back and learn. Daniel Jones could be the next Sam Darnold, where you get an opportunity elsewhere and you have some success, which is obviously what he's hoping for, and he's hoping for an opportunity. Next season, I can't see a scenario where he's going to be a starting quarterback to begin a year, but if you recall, Ryan Tannehill was cut by the Dolphins, signed with Tennessee, was a backup behind Marcus Mariota. Before you know it, he was a starting quarterback again and played multiple years, got another big contract, got the Titans to an AFC championship game. So it can happen. Crazier things have happened for sure. Lots of injuries in the NFL. Opportunities come up. So more than anything, I just like that Daniel Jones chose a smart location. He went to a team that can help him improve as a quarterback and not just step in and play to an offense he barely knows. Learn the system, learn from Kevin O'Connell, and move on from there. Also news, Aiden O'Connell, who got injured a number of weeks ago for the Raiders. He is going to return this upcoming weekend, which is Good timing because Gardner Minshew broke his collarbone. He's out for the season. So Aiden O'Connell will get the start on Friday in the Black Friday game in Kansas City against the Chiefs. So he'll be returning from injury on a short week. And that game is on Friday at Arrowhead. Raiders, Chiefs. We'll talk more about that game on Fridays. No podcast tomorrow. It's special Friday morning, special Black Friday edition of Live and Learn. And we'll talk about that game amongst the rest of Week 13 on Friday. We get into the lines and everything in between. Let's get to a bit of hockey before we go back to football later on in the program. Quietly, Jack Eichel is having a really, really good start to his season. He plays in Vegas. Their games start late. People are tired. Can't stay up. Got to go to bed. So you don't get to see Vegas play all that often, which is a shame because they are a fun watch and they're a good team. But if you didn't know, Jack Eichel has 34 points on the season. And there are only two players in the NHL who have more points than Jack Eichel this season. Nathan MacKinnon and Marty Neckash, another quietly great story, of the Carolina Hurricanes. Jack Eichel has really morphed. In Buffalo, second overall pick, injured, contrary, never living up to the hype, wanted to get a neck surgery that Buffalo didn't want him to get, and ultimately they deal him to Vegas. Vegas lets him have the neck surgery, basically cost him a playoff spot a couple years ago because they let him have it, and then the following year they win the Stanley Cup. And since getting to Vegas, Jack Eichel has been really a phenomenal hockey player. Last season, 68 points in 63 games, 22-23 with Vegas, 66 points in 67 games. But this is the best start to his career, averaging the most minutes since 2019-20, which is almost 21 minutes a night. 8 goals, 26 assists, 34 points in 22 games. Driving the offense on this team. And he just plays with this sense of fearlessness. He plays like he's on the attack. Incredibly smart player. And he's really been different since his pairing with former Moncton Wildcat, Ivan Barbashev. Ivan Barbashev was a goal scorer, was a Q superstar when he played for the Moncton Wildcats. An import that made an impact. Then he went to St. Louis, kind of got humbled a little bit, had to make one of those tough decisions. Are you going to be a checker or are you going to be out of the league heading back to play in the K? He became one of the better fourth line just game wreckers in the league, won a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues, was then traded in the last year of his deal to Vegas, and he won his second Stanley Cup with the Vegas Golden Knights. Then signed an extension. But since being moved, he's played majority of his time with Jack Eichel. And he's second on the Golden Knights in scoring this year. 24 points in 22 games for Ivan Barbashev, who already has 10 goals on the season. Which, again, hard to believe for a guy like Ivan Barbashev. Career high in goals, 21-22 with 26. Very much an outlier. Never got over 20 the rest of his career. Career high, 60 points that same season. He's going to break both of those this year to me. He'll have more. I think Ivan Barbashev playing with Jack Eichel. If Eichel can be healthy the whole season, which is always the question with Vegas, is if you stay healthy, they're playing together. Barbashev can be a 65, 70-point player and have 30 goals. No question. Because they are so important to the team because Mark Stone's constantly hurt, which sucks for the team because Mark Stone, I love watching Mark Stone play. Such a competitor. Thomas Hertl's been good, not great. But this team wins because of that line. This team wins, and another large part is their defense produces a lot of offense. But I wanted to point that out. Jack Eichel, a much maligned player, a guy that was kind of thrown to the side. He's not going to work in Vegas. He's not a player that's going to compete at a high level. He is. He's one of the better players in the league. And points tell you that. But not only that, Vegas is first in the Pacific. And this is always my barometer. They are 22 games into the season. They are right on par with the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are right on par with New Jersey. Only team they're really behind is Winnipeg. Winnipeg's been the best team in the league. Vegas 14-6-2 on the season. Have played a lot of road games as well. In Colorado tonight in a fun game after Colorado get blown out in Tampa on Monday 8-2. Woof. But to me, Eichel is an elite player, the best player on the Vegas Golden Knights by far. Smart, not afraid to throw hits, not afraid to take a hit. Cares a ton about winning. Shows up. Injured, not feeling great, don't matter. He plays every night. And Vegas is quietly a good team. And they're hard to trust because of injuries. And they lost some guys in the offseason, which to me, on paper, I was like, oof, I don't know. But Aiden Hill is likely going to be picked for the Four Nations face-off for Team Canada. So they have one of the three best Canadian goaltenders in the world. If you look at it that way, and Aiden Hill is a Stanley Cup champion. So they have a goaltender that can play. Do I think he's elite? No, but few and far between elite goaltenders in the NHL. Hannafin, Shea Theodore, Pietrangelo, Braden McNabb, White Cloud. Their defense is as good as it gets. They're a legit threat. They are a Stanley Cup team to me. If they stay healthy and if things go the right way for them. Edmonton caught them last year. They were kind of a wounded animal. And they weren't what the year prior when they were in the Stanley Cup final. They'll be ready this year, I believe. And Edmonton, they have a lot to figure out as well. They have to figure out how to play hockey consistently. But I wanted to bring up Vegas because they're a good team, and Eichel's a great story. And I love Barbashev. Huge fan. Can openly admit that. Love the way he plays. Have forever. Jim Montgomery won his coaching debut at the St. Louis Blues, winning at Madison Square Garden 5-2. Zachary Bolduc, former Q player, had a pair of goals in the victory. Braden Shen, team captain, with the game winner. Happy for Montgomery. Good for St. Louis. New coach bump. Not that big of a surprise. They have New Jersey in about a half an hour. The bigger outcome of that game. The Rangers lose again. And not only do the Rangers lose again, you have Chris Kreider, who's talking to the media today. And he says, yeah, it's really obvious to everyone in here that something's wrong. ... So the players are actually voicing that something is wrong. Well, two things can happen. You can trade some players like they pitched, like potentially Chris Kreider, like potentially team captain Jacob Trouba, which are difficult trades but not necessarily impossible. Or you can do what Boston did and fire Peter Laviolette. Now, I don't think they're going to fire Peter Laviolette in season. I think the Rangers are a question mark going deep. A question mark winning a Stanley Cup, absolutely. I would never put them in that camp. But I would also say I don't worry about missing the playoffs. So they're in this weird spot where, yes, they're all in, but they've kind of made their bed, and you're not going to become a younger team overnight. We talked about it on Monday. Their core of their team are all 30 plus. All of them. And their younger guys have kind of regressed. Keandre Miller has gotten worse, not better, which tough because I like the player, but he's not playing well. Will Cooley, awesome. Younger guy that stepped up. 9 goals in 20 games for Will Cooley. Love him. He had 13 last year. I like him, power forward, good player. But Adam Fox doesn't have a goal this year. Adam Fox, who's great, yeah, but he lacks defensive attributes. People put him in that conversation with Quinn Hughes, with Makar. No, he's not. And again, not all about points with defense, but with Adam Fox it is. When you're on the first power play unit, you need to have at least a goal. You have Adam Fox on this team of defense, no goals. You have Jacob Trouba on this team, no goals. Braden Schneider, defense, 2. Zach Jones, 1. Keandre Miller, 1. Ryan Lindgren, 1. These are all guys that play every game. Their defense doesn't really help you. Not providing a whole lot for this offense. Panarin, 26 points in 20 games. Great. Credit to him. Lafreniere, been good. I like the contract. He's got 8 goals. That's fine. Probably hope for a little bit better. He could probably get to 30 this year. Got 28 last year. Zibanejad, they'd love to get rid of him. Good luck with it, though. Riley Smith, didn't understand picking him up when they did it. Stupid. Sucked in Pittsburgh. Why would he be any better on the Rangers? But I don't worry about them missing the playoffs. But I do worry about, can you beat Carolina? Can you beat the Devils? I'm not so sure. I like the Devils. They got a good team. They're ready to play. So the Rangers are an interesting, lots of talk about them, lots of opportunity for that team. We're in a conference final last year. But I don't love their chance of winning a cup. I don't think they can change their team in order to win a Stanley Cup. They were great last year. I never bought in. I didn't get it. To me, Rangers and Dallas, people put them in the same conversation. I don't, because Dallas has younger players who are producing. And Dallas plays in the West, which is a little weaker, which is an advantage, certainly. Pivoting to headlines, Leafs, Panthers tonight in Sunrise. The reeling Florida Panthers, who have lost 6 of their last 7, not scoring many goals while allowing a lot of goals. No Austin Matthews tonight for Toronto. Going to sit out another game. Hopefully plays Saturday in St. Petersburg against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Here's for Toronto. Keep doing what you're doing. Practice lines, even with Matthews there, him and Marner are not back together. So Craig Berube, thank you for listening to the show, for not falling victim to stupidity, trying to help you. Because that organization loves themselves some stupidity. They master in it. But I'm here to help. They should be playing together. They don't have to play together. Entitlement. I don't understood why the two best players on the team have to play together. Why? Jaromir Jagr and Mario Lemieux were not in the same line. Crosby and Malkin were never on the same line. Ever. Well, they're on the same power play unit. Right, that's when you can play together on the power play. Never together. McDavid and Draisaitl still haven't won a title yet. Why? Well, maybe because they play together too much. Carry your own fucking line. Take pride in that. Matthew Nye still not ready to return yet, but he practiced, so he could be back Saturday as well. Florida, I don't think this is an important game because sure, you want to get a win, and that's always important. You want to win games. But I don't think this game is I could hype it up for you. I'm not gonna. It's one of 82. That's what it is. I think for Florida, some might go, well, Florida needs to win this game because the Leafs are on a run and Florida isn't. Okay. Well, Florida won a championship last year, so I have more faith in them. Now, Florida's defense, not good, but we knew that before the year. I talked about that. It's the weakness of their team. In order to win, they need a better defense. They are kind of opposite Toronto, where I like Toronto's defense a lot. What Brad Treliving did was build a really strong defense core. And he has 2 good goalies. Florida has 2 goalies that aren't playing that well right at the moment. And a defense that lacks experience and needs a lot of help, quite frankly. And the goaltending hasn't really bailed them out. But is it a measuring stick game? Sure. Why not? Again, I'll allow that for, Leafs type shows to do that. If you want that, go find Overdrive or Kipper show. They'll do that for you. Measuring stick games, to me, no. This is not one of them. It's the day before Thanksgiving in the United States, 20 games in. It's more about your body of work so far. Body of work so far, Toronto's better than Florida. Which, again, not that surprising because Toronto, I predicted to win the Atlantic, and they should win the Atlantic because they're the best team. It's pretty simple. Not that hard to understand. So to me, when a team is winning like they should, I'm impressed with the play and how they go about it. But I'm not overly impressed with you're doing something that I thought you'd do. Like, when I made my bed, my mom was so proud of me. So proud of me. Because I rarely did it. Because I think it's a waste and I don't do it now that I live alone. It's such a stupid task. It's a pointless task because you're going to get back into bed the next day. But whenever I did make my bed, with a half-ass effort, I might add, she was so proud of me. But again, she was never that proud when I did make my bed because that's what she expected me to do. If you got a team like so far in the NHL, who can I put into this discussion? Minnesota. I'll say Minnesota. Minnesota being this good, I didn't expect it. I know they're a good team. I didn't expect them to be this good. To be competing with the best teams in the NHL? No way. Didn't have that on my bingo card. And yet they are. And Kaprizov's playing at an MVP level, and Matthew Boldy, awesome, stud player. Zuccarello, ageless wonder, still finds a way to get it done in his late 30s. Strong goaltending. Like Tampa Bay can score goals. No kidding. Nikita Kucherov is one of the best players in league history. He should have won the Hart Trophy last year, but they didn't give it to him because McKinnon didn't have one. And he's Russian. What? But he's a great passer. That team can score. Braden Point. Oh, phenomenal. Jake Gensel could score in Pittsburgh. Who knows? He can score in Tampa. Wow. What a mind bender that is. So hard to comprehend. But if I look at the Atlantic currently, let's look at the standings, shall we? Toronto, 28 points, 21 games played. Great start. Florida, 25 points in 22 games. They're okay. Tampa, 24 points in 20 games. It's about right. I do think those teams are the three best teams in the Atlantic currently. You do have Buffalo right with 23, right on the periphery. Credit to them. They've won a couple games in a row. They have a tough test against Minnesota tonight. Devils. So the Atlantic, you got Boston, who lost last night to Vancouver. They are 500 after 23, 10, 10, and 3. Ottawa with 19 points after 21 games. Woof. Now, must-win games. Ottawa and San Jose tonight, that's a must-win. Because we're talking about different teams. Toronto always wins in the regular season. They always make the playoffs. 8 years in a row. That's empirical proof that they will. And if I'm wrong, then I'll be wrong. But I'll bank on that information. I'll bank on that correct data. Ottawa hasn't made the playoffs since 2017. Also, data. And during that span, they had a similar team for a while. And with this similar team, they don't make the playoffs and they don't get that close. They beat Calgary on Monday. Important win at home, and now they head out on the road, the Ottawa Senators, through SoCal. Get some of that sun, get out of the cold. Love that. But for Ottawa in this trip, with 19 points after 21 games, only 1 point up on Pittsburgh, who suck, and only 2 points up on Montreal, who also stink. That's a sad. You're behind Columbus. You're behind Philly. You're behind Detroit. Ottawa needs to go on this trip at San Jose, at LA, at Ducks. It'd be optimally, that's a sweep. Tough? Sure. Tough to do. But they're better than San Jose. They're better than Anaheim. So if you look at, they're better than better than Anaheim. So if you look at it that way, you should beat those two teams that you are better than. And you'll say, okay, we'll take our chances against Los Angeles. But they play tonight, and then they're off till Saturday. Saturday, Sunday. They can sweep this trip. They're a good enough team if they put it all together. Will they? Remains to be seen. But that's a stretch of games where I look at Ottawa and go, some of those are must-wins. You get San Jose in your schedule, and yes, Macklin Celebrini, this kid, he's fun. Fun player to watch. 10 points in 12 games to start off his NHL career. 6 goals already. And San Jose's been better, honestly, than I predicted. 5 losses in overtime are the gimmick. Mikael Granlund, who was dead and now he's alive, zombie, over a point per game. Fantastic. William Eklund, he's younger player. 45 points last year, 19 and 23 this year, having some success. Toffoli still bringing it. Fabian Zetterlund still bringing it. They're not a great team yet, but they are competing. Celebrini's having a great rookie year, like Bedard did. Bedard is not having a great sophomore season, if you didn't know. You got to go down a ways to find him. He leads the team in points, the Chicago Blackhawks, but he's only got 15 in 21 games. He's got 3 goals. He hasn't scored a goal in a month. Hasn't scored a goal in a month. That's tough. And now I look at him and I think for him, just play simple hockey. They host Dallas tonight. Just go have some fun. He's putting too much pressure on himself. I'm not going to be one to go Connor Bedard. I'm worried about his. I'm not yet. Nathan MacKinnon had a really poor sophomore season. And his third season wasn't that great either. People were like, Nathan MacKinnon, is he a bust? And no, he just had a tough start. Year 2 at Colorado, Nathan MacKinnon had 34 points in 64 games and had 14 goals. Since then, he's a Stanley Cup champion and he won a Hart Trophy last year. In year 3, 52 in 72 games. That's not great either. But then went from 52, 53, took a discount, 97, 99, 93, 65, and 48 Fauci season. 88 and 65, 111, 140 last year. Different type of player, but Bedard, to me, is special. He'll find his way. I'm not overly concerned yet. You also got Jets hosting in Los Angeles tonight. Connor Hellebuyck has 15 wins in 17 starts. That's the fastest to 15 wins in NHL history. Won the Vezina last year. He's clearly the front runner this year. He's also, to me, yes, it's early, but he's on the best team in the league. The other night against Minnesota, they don't win, and he made 40-plus saves. He was phenomenal. The Jets woke up in the third period and started to play, but before that, it was all him. And he's been great all season long for the Jets. I haven't looked up MVP odds yet. We're at the 20-game mark, quarter mark. Let's go over to FanDuel Sportsbook, friend of the program, to look at odds. When it comes to the Hart Trophy, because I'm curious. Hart Trophy, Kaprizov is the favorite currently at plus 280, followed by Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon at plus 440, Kucherov at plus 650. They'll never give him another award. Jack Eichel, plus 1,200. Cale Makar, plus 1,900. Connor Hellebuyck is 7th on the list, plus 2,000, alongside Marty Neckash of the Carolina Hurricanes. It rarely goes to goaltenders. I get that. Although Carey Price did win one. Connor Hellebuyck is fantastic. Not a bad bet. If the Jets could win the President's Trophy and he keeps collecting wins and he's playing fantastic, then he's absolutely in that mix. There's absolutely a chance for him because he's been that good. Regular season award. And in the regular season, he's been the best goalie in the world. And it's hard to argue he hasn't been the best player in the league so far this year because he's on the best team. And he's a guy that plays. He doesn't sit out many games. The Jets know that they have an elite number one goaltender. They don't screw around. Eric Comrie, sure, he gets a game here and there. But it's Connor Hellebuyck's show. So to me, him at plus 2,000, not a bad bet to sprinkle on. Don't mind Eichel either. But Hellebuyck, I like my chances a little bit more of that actually winning. They don't give it to goaltenders, but he is that good, you can't really deny him. McDavid has missed games this year already. Matthews isn't winning it. He's missed too many games. Kaprizov, sure, he's great. But if Minnesota falls off or something, that goes away quickly. McKinnon, do they give it to a guy 2 years in a row? A lot of voters don't like to do that. A lot of voters kind of don't like the same old thing year after year. I think you give it to the best player, and that very well could be Connor Hellebuyck. But Jets, Los Angeles tonight in LA. But full slate of games because no NHL, no NBA tomorrow, with it being Turkey Day. Tonight, St. Louis and Jimmy Montgomery in New Jersey. Rangers, Hurricanes. Still no Korchkov for the Hurricanes, so Spencer Martin gets another start. Minnesota in Buffalo. Red Hot Capitals in Tampa Bay, two teams that like to score goals. Bruins on a back-to-back. I forgot to mention, Bruins lost last night to Vancouver. Jake DeBrusk, first game back in Beantown. He gets a goal. Connor Garland had a goal and an assist. Vancouver wins 2-0. Great game by Kevin Lankinen. If you look at it, Boston is 2-1 since they fired Jimmy Montgomery. So that's pretty good. However, in those 3 games, they have scored a combined 3 goals. You're not beating anybody with that type of stat line. 3 goals in 3 games, you are losing to Columbus, you are losing to San Jose, you're losing to Chicago with Connor Bedard, who can't score. So yes, record is improving, sure, but they don't score. They gave up 1 goal last night in an empty netter, and you lose a game. They won 1-0, 2-1, lost 2-0. So it's kind of weird if you just look at it. If you actually give it a good look, you go, huh. The Bruins, yeah, they're winning, but they're not doing it that impressively. And even if their defensive play is impressive, it's kind of irrelevant because if you don't score in the NHL, if you don't score in pro sports, you don't win. So just something to think about. Toronto in Florida, Stolarz against Bobrovsky, the two former net-minding tandem. Vancouver on a back-to-back in Pittsburgh. Penguins, woof. Calgary in Detroit tonight. Flyers in Nashville, Dallas, and Chicago, as mentioned. Anaheim in Seattle. Vegas in Colorado. Fun game. Really fun game. Colorado normally can't get a save. Georgiev is back in the net tonight, however. He got pulled on Monday. He's 6-5 on the season. He's got a .348 goals against and an .871 save percentage. They got a lot of faith in him, though. Jets in Los Angeles and Senators in San Jose. So a full slate of games. No NHL on Thursday, and then a lot of games Friday afternoon for Black Friday in the U.S. And we'll talk about those on Friday during our special Friday edition of Live and Learn after the Turkey Thanksgiving games. And we'll talk some hockey that day as well. Let's talk Monday Night Football. Ravens Chargers. Fun game. Really fun game. Loved every second of it. Couple things. The Ravens are threatening. Absolutely. The Ravens can win the Super Bowl. I believe that. However, I still don't trust their defense. But I love everything else. Lamar is cream of the crop when it comes to quarterbacks. Derrick Henry had 140 rushing yards. Justice Hill had a 50-yard rushing touchdown. They ran for over 200 yards on the Chargers. On Jesse Minter's defense that had been playing at a really high level. So for the Ravens, I look at it and go, okay, if Herbert was better in that game, and if a few Chargers players decided to catch the ball, the Chargers might have won. There was a key third down where Quentin Johnston, it was a 3rd and 6, late third quarter, and is a 3rd and 6 right in the hands. And if he caught the ball, he was getting 20-plus yard gain, and this was when the Chargers were down 7. And he dropped the ball. It was just a bad drop. I thought at the time, go for it, but they didn't. And you punt, and then on the next drive, the Ravens scored a touchdown. And it killed you. That was the game because you went down by 2 scores, and it wasn't enough time to make up for it. Quentin Johnston had a drop in the game. J.K. Dobbins had a drop in the first half before he went out with injury. That was really important to the loss. So there's a few moments where you go, oh, they had it. They couldn't stay with it. But for Baltimore, I just go, they can beat anybody, yes. But will you beat everybody when you get the opportunity? Can you beat Kansas City? Can you beat Buffalo? Could you beat the Chargers if you played them again? I don't know. I love when they mix it up because if you look at the game, you go, Lamar didn't have to do that much, which to an extent was true. He did combine for 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 to Rashad Bateman and 1 to Mark Andrews, and a rushing touchdown himself. But he ran 8 times for 15 yards, not an explosive night. 16 for 22 for a $177, pretty low event. But they ran the ball 38 times for over 200 yards. And Derrick Henry didn't even have a rushing touchdown in the game. Derrick Henry averaged 6 yards a carry against the Chargers. So I love their offense. I like when they got to use Henry alongside that. I love the aggressiveness of John Harbaugh. He went for a 4th down on his own 16-yard line because he trusted his team. And it resulted in a touchdown before the half that was huge to them winning, huge to them covering the spread. They were 3 for 3 on 4th down. I love that approach. That's why if I was Jim Harbaugh, it was late third quarter, you're down a touchdown, but that defense was not stopping Derrick Henry after the first quarter. That Ravens offense did whatever the hell they wanted to do after the first quarter. So to me, I would have said, you know what? We got to go for it here. Let's dial up a similar play. Let's get Justin Herbert a pass to Ladd McConkey because it worked all night. It works every week. Those two have such a great connection. Ladd McConkey, rookie out of Georgia, is awesome. 6 catches for 83 yards in the game. 6 targets. That's 100%. If you look at his season, 69 targets, 49 catches, 700 yards, 4 touchdowns on the season. 2 drops. He's going to be going over 1,000 yards in his rookie season, Ladd McConkey. Will Dissly, kind of the second most important receiver, the tight end. I look around and go, I still think they're missing something, the Chargers. Jalen Reagor, bad drop on a 3rd down. You had Quentin Johnson, who didn't have a catch in the game. He would have had one, but he dropped it. So I still believe they're a playoff team. Justin Herbert is playing the best football of his career since Oregon. I thought he played really well the other night. There were some opportunities missed. He missed Joshua Palmer on a deep shot that he had the corner beat and the throw wasn't there. Will he make those throws in the playoffs? They're similar. The Ravens have more pedigree. The Chargers have 1 playoff appearance and they're 0-1 and they were up by 30 at the half and they lost to the Jaguars. So not a whole lot of trust earned with the Chargers as well, but it's different to me with Jim Harbaugh. Fresh off winning a national championship at Michigan. They have that success. They have that winning vibe. But I leave the game optimistic about the Chargers. And I like their team overall. But I would put the Ravens above them in the power rankings of the AFC. AFC, as we currently sit here, I'd probably have Buffalo 1 over Kansas City because I think Buffalo's just more of a complete team. And Buffalo's got to beat Kansas City in a playoff game. They never do. And Kansas City will have teams cover on them every week, but yet they win. And it was huge for the Chargers to lose on Monday because now the Chiefs have a 3-game lead in the AFC West. Now, they can't really afford a loss because if they do lose and the Bills win out, the Bills will get the number 1 seed in the AFC. And the playoffs will go through Buffalo. Through that thick snow, through that miserable weather. Sounds like they're getting a big storm come Sunday Night Football. They could have a huge snow game. But Lamar's great. And he can do so many things. He's one of the funnest watches any athlete in pro sports right now. After the game, MVP, he remains in second place behind Josh Allen. And both guys have big games this week. Both guys have MVP type opportunities where you got the Eagles heading to Baltimore. Saquon Barkley versus Josh Allen, two leading rushers in the NFL. We also have Lamar playing that Eagles defense, playing against a team with only 2 losses. Huge opportunity. You're trying to stay in the mix, win the AFC North. And then you also have the Bills, Sunday Night Football, hosting the San Francisco 49ers, who have been in 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. Yes, are struggling, but they're going to be coming in desperate. They know they basically have to win this game. If the 49ers lose this game, they'll be 5-7, in deep, deep trouble. Unlikely to make the playoffs, unlikely to win their division. So 2 major games, 2 major opportunities for Josh Allen and for Lamar Jackson this upcoming weekend. And we'll talk about it more on Friday's podcast. But I'm glad to see the running back resurgence. If you look at free agents this past offseason, Derrick Henry was a free agent. 2nd in the NFL in rushing, 1st in the NFL in total touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, free agent. 1st overall in rushing. And let's look at his, he probably doesn't have as many touchdowns because he's more of a, but he's got almost 1,400 rushing yards. And he's only got 2 touchdowns, which is crazy. Sorry, 10 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving. So he's got 12 touchdowns on the season. Derrick Henry has 13. So if you go combined, he's 1 behind Derrick Henry. So another awesome. Josh Jacobs. Raiders let him walk. Goes to Green Bay. 3rd in the NFL in rushing. 944 yards. We'll get over 1,000 this week. 8 total touchdowns. Averaging almost 5 yards a carry as a member of the Green Bay Packers. I love it. The running back, Chuba Hubbard, Canadian, Carolina, Oklahoma State, 5th in the NFL in rushing, 876. Tony Pollard, free agent, Dallas, let him walk. Oh, they don't need any good players. 800 rushing yards after 11 games. 4.5 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. Another 100-yard rushing season. Aaron Jones, 800 rushing yards, free agent. Joe Mixon, nearly 800 rushing yards. He's missed a couple games with the Houston Texans. Good stories. The running back having a resurgence. The running back having some success. Important part of the team. If you can blend in, run and pass, you're in business. And you can do damage to the opposition, no doubt about it. Let's get to the turkey games. Thanksgiving tomorrow. I've always said the American Thanksgiving is a much better time than what we have here in Canada. Less than a month till Christmas. People that love the holidays, you get 2 right back to back. Maybe there's might take away from having the tree up about 80 weeks before Christmas, which wouldn't hurt me at all, but, to each their own, I suppose. Well, no, there's right and wrong, but tree up in mid-November is just asinine. But we got 3 games tomorrow, and there's always 2 teams that play on Thanksgiving. It's always tradition. The Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. The Lions always played on Thanksgiving, and it never made any sense because the Lions were terrible for most of my life. Well, basically till 2 years ago. They always were garbage. And they always played on Thanksgiving, and they always lost, and it was always, Stafford's hurt, he can't play in this game, and then whatever. But now they're the best team in the league, and they're hosting a game on Thanksgiving, and it makes sense. And the Detroit Lions will be hosting division rival the Chicago Bears, who are coming off a couple tough losses in a row, lost in overtime to Minnesota this past weekend in a game they probably should have won after they got the ball first in overtime, but they had an onside kick, do all this crazy stuff. So credit to them for coming back. Caleb Williams probably had his 2 best games as a pro in back-to-back weeks. Looking so much more confident throwing the ball. Looking like a guy that's just playing free. Thomas Brown, the new OC. He went 32 for 47, 340, and 2 touchdowns. He ran 6 times for 33 yards. Running it efficiently, DJ Moore, 7 catches. Keenan Allen, 9 catches. Cole Kmet, 7 catches. Spreading the ball around, finding guys. A lot of success. But yet Detroit has been a huge favorite in every game, and they always cover the spread. They were a 10.5-point favorite against Indy. This past weekend, they won 24-6. They cover, and they do it easily, typically, the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, as efficient as it gets at the quarterback position, 2-headed monster at running back. David Montgomery was hurt. He's questionable to play tomorrow. Sounds like he's going to play. Amon-Ra St. Brown's also questionable. I think he's going to play. So Detroit, again, they're sticking with this line, Vegas. They like this line for the Lions. It's kind of the safe one that they make. This really hasn't fluctuated throughout the week. Actually, it's a little bit. Pardon me. It's gone down. Starting off the week, it was 10.5, Detroit as a favorite. It's been bet down to 9.5 as we currently sit here. I love a big favorite as much as the next guy. I think the Bears are they're a feisty team. I can't say they're a good team anymore. They're going to need a new head coach. They're going to need to make changes. But they compete, and I give them that. There's not a lot of quit in this Bears team. Again, they just had a division game. You now have to go on the road, short week, to Detroit to play another division game against the best team in the league. If anything, I thought this number was going to go up. I can't believe the number went down to 9.5. Money's coming in on the Bears, and that's puzzling to me. To me, this is one, betting on Detroit this year is a safe bet. I would never recommend somebody doing it on a parlay, because betting on a team with a massive point spread in the positive, there's no money in it. It's really, it's a shitty way to bet. I hate huge favorites and betting on the favorite to cover. But in this game, if you are putting in a Thanksgiving parlay, it is absolutely Detroit minus 9.5. I don't think the Bears will cover this spread. Detroit's the best team in the league. Jared Goff hasn't thrown an interception since his 5-interception game. Love it, Chicago, Detroit, Thanksgiving, I'm in. I'm in on all of it. But Detroit is just so efficient. They give up their defense, even though Aiden Hutchinson is playing quite well. They only gave up 6 points to Indianapolis, and Indianapolis can score points this past weekend. Money's coming in on Chicago, and I get it. It's a big spread. But this year, Detroit, the safe play is to bet on them to win and to cover the big number, because it's literally worked every time. I'll take you through them. It's really like midway point of the season, Vegas says, enough of this, and they'll change their spreads. So I can pinpoint it. It started the Jaguars. That was 2 weeks ago. Well, really, it started with the Titans on the 27th. They were 12.5 points in that game. They won 52-14. Covered it. Jaguars, they were a 13.5 point favorite. Covered it. 52-6 win. 10.5 point favorite against Indianapolis. On the road, by the way. Covered it. 24-6. All these teams, something all have in common. All under 500. The Bears, oh yeah, they're 4-7, under 500. Detroit, at home. Detroit's going to cover this spread. Detroit's better than Chicago. Detroit's the best team in the NFL. Detroit, minus 9.5. 5:30 game. The New York Giants visiting the other Thanksgiving staple, the Dallas Cowboys. On Sunday night, it was a 4.5-point spread for the Cowboys. It is now 3.5. Tommy DeVito, unlikely to play, forearm injury. So that means former Broncos quarterback Drew Lock would get the start. He was the backup quarterback to begin the season. Tommy DeVito gave them a better chance to lose. Oh, wait, I wasn't supposed to say that. But yes, they're tanking. But he might not be able to play. Malik Neighbors is pissed, because he's not getting the ball. And then you have the Cowboys. The Giants stink. The Cowboys also stink, but the Cowboys just beat the Commanders, which is impressive. Division games, it will be close. Drew Lock does give the Giants a better chance to win than Tommy DeVito, absolutely. But Cooper Rush played well last week. Cooper Rush played really well against the Commanders. He gave them a very good chance, and they did. They won a game as a 10.5-point dog. The biggest win as an underdog this year. Giants lost at home by 23 to a sub-500 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dallas has not won a home game yet this year. That's true. Haven't won a home game yet. If there's one to win, it's on Thanksgiving. If there's one to win and to get fans actually excited about this team, they'll be 5-7. And they'll go, okay, well, if we beat Cincinnati, and if we beat Washington again, maybe we're back in the playoff mix. Not going to happen. But Dallas is going to win tomorrow. They are going to cover the 3.5. Dallas, minus 3.5. They improved to 5-7. And then the night game, the Miami Dolphins, who have won 3 in a row. The 5-6 Dolphins head to Green Bay to play the Packers. Dolphins don't play great in cold weather. They played in cold weather in the playoffs last year, and they lost to the Chiefs. Now, they say they're not afraid of it. You're heading to Lambeau, night game, freezing, late November. Dolphins have looked good lately, but I mean, not to put just a complete turd on that, but I mean, you look at it, stupid Moana 2 ads popping up. Can't get the information I need. Have to see Moana 1. Unlikely. Dolphins, last 3 weeks. At Rams, semi-impressive. Good win. Sure. Beat the Raiders. Way to go. Who doesn't? And then beat the Patriots. All those teams are sub-500. And yeah, you beat LA, but LA plays in a dome, and they also play in Los Angeles. So it's not exactly cold weather. Games this year outside for the Dolphins. Lost in Seattle. Won in New England, but that was in October, and that was still Jacoby Brissett. Lost at the Bills. So they don't play well in cold weather. I do think they're a good team. I do like Tua's played unreal since coming back from injury. Tua's played better this year than Jordan Love has, certainly. Jordan Love likes to make games interesting. Jordan Love likes to give people the thought that the Packers are going to lose. Tied for the league lead in interceptions. We talked about Josh Jacobs. He's been awesome. Matt LaFleur is a great play caller. Packers 8-3, still in the mix for the NFC North. They play the Lions again, so that's an opportunity there to make up a victory. But they basically know, we're going to be a wild card team, which they were last year, and they went to Dallas and got a win, so they're perfectly capable. I don't hate the Dolphins. 3.5. Clearly, Vegas is giving respect to the Dolphins, it only being 3.5. Because typically, I think this would be bigger, an 8-3 team playing a 5-6 team. And the 8-3 teams at home, that's a 5.5-point spread all day, every day. But Miami's played well. They're competing. Tua's playing at a high level. Jonnu Smith, that offense is clicking. But I don't have enough faith in it to cover 3.5. I don't think they'll win the game. And what I do tomorrow is, if I'm doing a Thanksgiving parlay, I'm taking all 3 home teams to cover the spreads. Dolphins-Packers is the funnest game of the day by far. Should be the most entertaining, likely a close game. I don't think they can keep it within a field goal. I don't think Packers by a touchdown tomorrow. Jordan Love is due for a game where he just goes out there and just rips it and plays fantastic. We haven't seen that in a while. It could be tomorrow night, a spotlight game for him. Jordan Love this year, 18 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 4 fumbles. That's garbage. It's horrible. In 9 games, 11 interceptions. Dolphins defense can play. Close game. I don't think it'll be that close. Elements do come into. If the Dolphins win tomorrow night, they're back in the mix. It's a huge game for them. Because after this, they go host the Jets at the Texans, winnable game. Host the 49ers at Cleveland at Jets. Not a gimme schedule, but not a murderer's row schedule either. Jets won't be playing Aaron Rodgers in probably those games. He'll be sitting by then. Cleveland, playing in Cleveland, tough. Could be a snow game. Host the 49ers. Banged up team. Who knows? But I like the home teams tomorrow. Detroit, Cowboys, Packers to all cover the spreads. On Friday, we'll be back. We'll talk about the Black Friday game in the NFL, and that's Vegas Chiefs. Aiden O'Connell will get the start. We'll recap the 3 games tomorrow. We're going to talk some NHL, what happens on the ice tonight, and get you set for the rest of Week 13 in the NFL as well. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Again, no show tomorrow. It'll be a special Black Friday edition of Live and Learn on Friday morning, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, I'm your host, Noah Warren, and this is the Live and Learn podcast.